Hey guys, welcome back to A Cozy Space with Tatiana Elizabeth. I'm your host, and today I have a super special guest. This is literally my best friend in the entire world, like my left brain, the left part of my brain. His name is Shaquille Adams. Should I say your whole name?
It's
His
up
name
to
is
you.
Shaquille Adams. And I wanted to bring Shaquille on here because I've known Shaquille for so many years, probably like 10 years at this point. And he's watched me and my journey and he's guided me through my journey. And I'm just very excited to just sit down and have like a conversation, getting into it, getting into all things fashion, wellness. Shaquille.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Of
Happy to be
course.
here. Excited to be here.
Of
Ready to
course.
get into some
He had
things.
no choice at
I
all.
had no choice. You're
Had no
guiding you
choice.
though. I'm
Yes.
honored.
Yes. Um, So a lot of our friendship, you pour into me so much, and I just want to sit here and just give you your flowers and just say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Oh, am I getting emotional?
We just started.
Just started. No, but seriously, so I feel like I just wanted to have you here to highlight you and just like give you some of your flowers and let you know how valued you are in my life. I couldn't do a lot without you. So this is like literally when you see me, you see him. You see him, you see me. So let's
Thank
just get
you.
straight into it.
hmm
Um, what's one of your favorite memories from our early days?
I don't know. There's just so many to choose from. But I will say, and it's kind of ironic, not to be a cliche, but I always kind of reference back in those early days where you would always kind of host us at your apartment in New York. We would do things like make a salad or fruit salad or whatever. And we
Yeah.
just like kind of unpack everything that's going on. And I feel like since then, it's kind of something you always done where you kind of curate a cozy space. A cozy space
Hence,
for all of your friends and people from different walks of life, and we all kind of just come together and mix and you know not network essentially, but you know have real moments aside from seeing each other out and partying and everything. Like it was always like a calm, chill experience like that. So that's definitely up there, and I always kind of reference that because you continue to do it over the years, and I think that's one of my favorites since the
oh.
start. You know.
So, as many of you probably don't know, I met Shaquille back in probably 2015, 2016. We were both out in the streets of New York, just like, I was modeling, he was styling, he's in the fashion industry, he's a graphic designer, he does all the things. And I met him actually at a taping for America's Next Top Model. And I feel like from day one, when I first met you, you were just so like, sweet and kind and just like, I'm rooting for you, like literally from the day I met him. So, taking it back to that time, what do you remember most about those early days and what do you miss about those early days?
What I miss about New York back in the day, being on the scene, you literally had to be outside, and not in the way that we know outside today.
Yeah.
Because back then we were the influencers. Like in New York, the locals, the people that are on the scene outside, like they are the celebrities. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of different here in LA. So especially back in those days, where it was like the Glenn Browns, the Justine Skies, like
It was
shout
a
out to all
community. It
the
was
community.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, it
it's like
wasn't so like it was more you if you know, you know.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that was before being an influencer was something people aspired to.
Yeah.
You quite literally had to have influence and be outside um to gain that status basically. So
Yeah.
I miss that about those days, and that's
Mhm.
basically how we met, just from me being outside and
Meeting you
knowing
outside.
someone that was casting for um not the America's Next Top Model, but like I guess the people that were,
Yeah, I think it was at a party.
yeah,
It
it
was at
was,
an event for
yeah,
ANTM, yeah.
yeah, it was like a party. So getting there through that, you just kind of always end up into situations where it's like,
Your day could go from 0 to 100 really quick.
yeah,
Speaking of, I
uh-huh.
have a core memory for the people. Remember that time when we literally, what were we went to ride bikes.
Bike
So
ride.
I called Shaquille, I'm like, I want to go ride bikes. And he's, first of all, he's like, do you ride bikes? And I'm like, yeah, I'm very athletic, can't you tell? And we went to go ride bikes. We get a phone call or I get a text or something. Come here, Kanye is having a listening party. And we literally like rode bikes, had the most scenic, serene, beautiful, like
On the
chill,
water, like
calm day on the West Side Highway.
super
Like,
summer. I'm in shorts, you're in
yeah,
shorts.
a tube top.
A floral shirt.
And we get this call. We're like, we out. Like, let's go. that wound up being one of the funnest nights because, like, we just went with it, and, like, I feel like that was just a testament of the times back then in New York, where it's just like, you get a text and your whole day can change. We had to,
Mhm.
like, go I feel like I had 1 RSVP, we had to, like, duplicate the
It
email
was
and, like,
so
make up an
much.
email address and, like, kinda scam our way into the situation where we wound up there with, like,
We're
Kanye,
next
and
to
we saw
Kanye,
right
next to
next to Kanye,
Kim,
right
we're
next
in
to
VIP, we're
no phones, like, we, like, barely had phones
literally.
out, like, the phones weren't out.
It was like under a bridge. Like it was
It
just
was
so crazy. It was
fun.
crazy.
That
And
was a good
everyone was
time.
there.
Yeah, and
But
I
that literally sums up like our days in New York. Like you
yeah,
start the day and that's why you kind of dress for the day, which we didn't do that day
we
because
did
it was
not do
very
that day,
summertime.
but we were still cute, and I feel like we
Yeah,
didn't pay for anything at all. Like, I
at
don't know why I felt
all.
like life was just free back then.
At all. Life was
Like,
so
I don't know
good.
how do we get from place to place?
I have
Like,
no
did we
but I
ride the
remember I remember us taking an Uber.
Oh, okay,
We
so
were
it
in an
wasn't
Uber
free.
with some of our friends
Oh,
that we met
yeah.
like along the way. Cause I think there was a shuttle situation.
Oh, yeah, and we
And then they
Ubered.
stopped the shuttle situation, but we got the address to the actual thing.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was it
we
was
like,
a
it was
whole
a whole
thing. It was a
scam
whole thing. It was a whole
situation,
thing. But
honestly, but we did it, and it was so fun, and that was a
yeah,
great memory.
yeah,
Okay, alright.
good times.
Good times. Okay, so let's get more so into fashion because Shaquille is the one that an award show will be on, a carpet will be on, and if I call this man while something is happening, I could be having a mental breakdown. He will literally like not well, he'll answer, but he won't pay me any mind.
Cause I'm
Shaq
tapped in. I'm
he's
tapped
tapped
in.
in. He loves fashion. He's like always he knows the designers and all the things. So, with that being said, who is your biggest fashion inspiration right now and how do they influence you?
Well, in terms of someone's personal style, I can't pinpoint one exact person because I like a lot of different things.
Mhm,
But in terms of like fashion designers, somebody who's really inspiring to me right now is Glenn Martins
mhm.
because just his take on fashion and the way to balance the art, I guess the art inspiration to just like what's kind of trendy or what's next. He just does a really good job at it. White Project was one of my favorite brands. Rest in peace because they just shut down. But
It's
Glenn
on sale
Martins,
though. Get that on Essence
right?
and
But
Farfetch.
Glenn Martins did so well during his time there, and also the rebrand of Diesel.
Yes.
Everybody and their mama is wearing Diesel
He did
now,
that.
and he
Yeah.
did that. Like he flipped that brand
Yeah.
really well. So I think that in itself is kind of inspiring to me. His take on fashion, silhouettes, textures, and everything.
Mhm.
Love that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
As you guys may or may not be able to tell, Shaquille wait, let me redo that. As you guys may or may not be able to tell, Shaquille does have an accent. He is from St. Croix. He took me to his island once and it was so beautiful. But so being from St. Croix, being from a small island, were you always into fashion? Like, did you always have like an eye for that? What kind of piqued and started that interest for you?
I don't know. I think for me, growing up, my mom kind of started letting me dress myself at a really young age. So I think that
Mhm.
kind of planted the seed. Um, and it wasn't necessarily like you could just wear whatever, like dress crazy. It's
Yeah.
like you're not coming behind me looking like that. Like
Right.
go change and then
Yeah.
come back out and then we out. So from then it was kind of like, okay, I know I wanted to look nice
Look
and
presentable and
look
put together.
presentable.
Yeah.
Clothes kind of speak before you do.
I feel like the best
Um
people come from judgmental parents.
oh my god,
I
but
mean, no
true.
shade to your mom, like,
Yeah,
I
but
love her,
true, but true.
but I feel like,
True. Yeah.
good
Yeah. I think from there, it kind of over time, just like I traveled a lot growing up too. So going
Mhm,
to different places or going to spending the summers in the States,
mhm.
you kind of pick up on some of their trends. I'm like bringing skinny jeans back home and everybody's like, whoa, like,
Yeah,
the Vans, that
yeah,
whole era and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah, I even went to Africa when I was 17, 16, and bringing back some of their like textured backpacks and stuff and kind of turning it into like a trend back home. Like
yeah,
just like little things
yeah,
kind of piqued my interest. But moving to Atlanta too, that kind of shifted my style as well because I went
mhm.
to Atlanta for college. But that shifted my style as well because people are more eclectic, I want to say,
Yes,
in
especially
Atlanta.
versus
Yeah.
St. Croix.
Right. And it's a lot more about or it's less about the brand and more about just expression. So through thrifting and, sourcing clothes through different ways, that
Yeah,
kind of really, really got me into it. And that's kind of where I kind of started styling a little bit, or getting recognized for how I dress.
yeah,
And then New York, you get to New York and you're in the big leagues now. Like,
yeah, for
you
sure,
kind of learn how to elevate your style for
yeah.
sure.
So what would you tell to that little boy that's on St. Croix or just, like, on an island right now who, like wants to come to the States or like wants to, like, it doesn't even have to be in fashion, but just like wants to move away from home, but they're like afraid or like whatever, like what would you tell that little boy or what would you tell your younger self before making that transition? Or what would you say to encourage that person to make the transition?
I think before I moved, I was always ready to go.
Mm.
I was always ready to
Why?
go,
I want to move there.
not to leave,
I
but
want to
just
move in with his mom.
not not to leave, but to experience the
Other,
world. So I was
yeah.
always kind of eager in that way, but I was always, the most nerve-wracking thing for me was not knowing when I'll be back.
Mm,
So I would tell myself like, okay, like it's like you'll be able to come back whenever you want. Like home
yeah.
is always going to be there.
Yeah.
So like don't be afraid to venture out, take risks, like,
Hmm.
shoot for the moon, see the world.
Yeah.
But if you ever need to come home and recharge, it's literally always going to be there.
I feel that.
It was always an anxiety of mine.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that. I feel the same way. I feel like honestly, I feel like people should try to experience as much as they can as young as you are
Hmm.
because when you get older, you're going to start craving that stability, that like calmness. So
Yeah.
as you can and when you have those thoughts,
Hmm.
I'm one to say act out your impulsive thoughts. Have a good
Yeah.
time, like you live one life. So I'm
Yeah.
happy that you made the choice to come here because if you didn't, I would have never met you.
Right. But we're kind of similar in that way too, because I left home like far from my family at like 17, and
Yeah,
you left home at
16.
16. So
Yeah.
early age, and you
I
kind of,
graduated high school early. I graduated high school. I was like, I think 16. And that summer I was like out. I wanted to be grown so
yeah,
bad. I'm like, get me off of this phone plan. I want an apartment. I want my own car. I want all these things. And now I'm like, take me back, mom and dad,
yeah,
please. But no, I
yeah.
definitely think that there's a beauty in leaving home early and experiencing life. And I feel like I can attribute so much of my successes to the fact that like I met so many people young and
Hmm.
I learned and made decisions. I feel like even like socially, like I feel like I've learned how to walk and be in certain rooms and be
Hmm.
confident because I've been out and about for so long. And I feel like, yeah, I think that it's a great thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. What's something about our friendship that surprised you?
The fact that we've been friends this long.
That's
Okay,
shady.
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But
I'm offended.
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
there's some truth to it. Not
Hmm.
because you're a bad person or we don't get along.
Yeah.
But I think when we first started hanging out or becoming friends, like it was just, I don't know. It was just so casual. Like I didn't see us like literally being like best friends, and
Yeah, me neither.
it was I don't know. Like
Yeah,
I
I feel
don't
like I never like I always had I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you just kind of snuck in. Like we just kind of like
no. I was invited. You invited me over to your
yeah,
house, and I
I
never
invited you
left.
all the time.
But
And we
yeah,
had like a whole like gang. Like I feel like we had
yeah,
like a whole little posse and we would just
yeah.
all like but I feel like that might be why we feel that way is because I feel like we were hanging out in groups so often
Hmm.
and I feel like we got really, really close within the past like 3, 4 years since I had
Yeah,
Milo. And I
yeah,
feel like it's like, oh wait, like I literally don't go a day without calling Shaquille. Like,
yeah, yeah.
like it's actually
But I
crazy.
want to give you a solid answer though. I feel like, I don't know. You're a lot more. I think for me, I'm pretty insightful or intuitive
Hmm.
rather. So I think you present in a very like boss strong, especially early on back in those days.
Yeah.
Like have it all figured out, boss, like strong and stuff like that. So all the great things, strong black woman, queen, don't need no man. But
I need one.
all the
I
things,
would like to change that narrative. I do need a man.
all the things. But I feel like I noticed I had some of those qualities in myself in regards to kind of looking like or being perceived as somebody who always has it like all together or has it all
Hmm.
figured out and doesn't really need anyone. But those are the people that kind of do
Yeah,
need people,
yeah.
if not
It's like I
the
needed
most.
me.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
check on your strong friend.
yeah.
So I feel like in that regard, I was always kind of like, okay, let me be that person for you, and in
Mhm.
in return, you became that person for me.
Yeah.
And with that, once you did start opening up, like you said, like within the last like 4 or 5 years, it wasn't like a hard transition for us
Yeah.
because we were kind of already ready and prepared and equipped to kind of take on those roles in each other's lives. So same with me. Once I started opening up to you,
Mhm.
you kind of knew it wasn't it wasn't like a hard
Yeah, it wasn't a
transition.
hard
Yeah.
transition at all.
Yeah, because we were kind of like, is this the moment? Like, okay,
Like, are we besties or not?
right.
With that being said, what do you think? Like, I feel like some people don't really know how to be friends, and it's no shade to anybody, but as a good friend, what advice would you give to people to be better friends?
I
Want
think
me to go first? Because I can.
I really think it's as simple as being the friend that you want. So kind of what we just said, like
Yeah.
becoming that person that you want in return. So I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are kind of caught up in what they need, what they want,
Yeah.
like in a relationship, in a partner, in a friend, like
Yeah.
in a family member, but they don't really become that person first.
Mm,
Um, and that's kind of cliche, but I think that's really,
yeah.
just to put it simply, like you just need to become that person that you want
I
or what
agree.
you expect out of other people.
Yeah. I feel like people need to like communicate and show up more. Like,
For sure.
communicate and show up. And if you can't show up, you have to communicate. But I feel like the older I
Hmm.
get, the more I realize how important it is to show up for your people. And if you can't show up, how you have to communicate. Because life moves fast, everyone's
Hmm.
busy. And I feel like the older I get, the more important those things are to me because it's like, what else are we doing here? If I can't count on you when I need you, if I can't count on you to at least like respond or reply or like, be there for me mentally or check in after the fact, then what are we really doing? I don't need to go to brunch anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with adult friendships, because
Yeah,
friendships are kind of easier to have when you're younger. When you become older, not that we're that old, not too much,
not too
but
much.
once you start getting older, you kind of need to develop that language
Yeah,
and, like you said, communication
yeah,
to be more like to express how considerate you are of that person.
yeah. Consideration is a
Yeah,
good,
consideration is key because it's
yeah.
easy for people to feel devalued or
Mm-hmm.
not considered.
And
It,
to communicate that, even if you
mhm.
feel that, I feel like we do really good at that. Like if I feel like I feel like we have an undertone of being funny or like a little bit of sarcasm. So if
Yeah,
Shaquille does any, I'm like, okay, not too much. And it's like,
not too
we'll
much.
reel it in. Like,
Yeah,
it's never a moment where I feel like you're not understanding me. Like, I
yeah.
feel like sometimes people choose to misunderstand one another in
Mhm.
order to benefit their perspective or their point. And I feel like we don't have that. And I feel like that's why we are besties for the resties.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And also I think it takes time to learn people as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like once over time, once you take the time to learn people and you guys are learning each other, you can kind of rely on what you know about this person to kind of
Yeah.
get you through conflict.
True.
Because like if you do something that's like in the moment, maybe a little like wait, or like I
Hmm.
do something where I like wander off or kind of like leave you, you'd be like, oh, Shaquille will never leave me. Like he's coming
Yeah.
back
He's coming back.
because
Yeah.
you know my character, you know me, and you've learned me over
Yeah.
time, and vice versa. So nobody could ever say this is happening
Right.
if I know better. And
True.
if it does appear that way in the moment, it always comes full circle. You're like, I was just getting, I was just getting you a drink.
Right.
I was making a
It's like he
play.
would never leave. Like he would literally never leave me. Like
Yeah,
no way. Yeah.
yeah,
No, I think that's so important.
yeah.
So so important. Um, mm, how do you think that we've both grown as individuals and as friends?
Well, I think you have become a lot more mature,
Ooh.
becoming a mom.
Yeah.
So naturally so. I think you do a great job at balancing, and it's not necessarily a balance like you're, one or the other, but balancing being a mom,
Hmm.
and raising a beautiful son. Shout out to
Shout out
Milo,
to
love him.
Milo.
Um, yeah, you do a great job at that, and then balancing work, social life, everything else, that kind of comes after. But yeah, I would say maturity is a great one for you.
Thanks.
It's not easy to see and or like to it's not I imagine it's not easy to balance all those things.
Hmm.
But you do it with grace and you do a really good job at it. So
Thank you.
that can be easy from outside Tatiana before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like one day we were just in Jamaica doing backflips and
Literally,
now
then I wound up pregnant
right. Now we're in Jamaica again with
with the
Milo and
baby. It's like, where'd you come from?
right.
Love him down.
But yeah, great job doing that.
Thank
So let
you.
me take the time to give you your flowers.
Oh, thanks.
You're doing a great job with Milo and never second guess it because
Ooh,
he is an amazing boy who's so filled with love,
oh, thank
and
you.
has the best sense of humor. So maybe he'll be on here one day.
Maybe I should interview him, huh?
That'll be so
That
cute.
would be so funny.
For me, I think I've always been like a mature person, but I've also been like really sensitive. So I think just learning how to communicate my emotions in the moment has been something I've definitely grown with over
Yeah.
the years.
I
And
feel like you've been more open recently too,
yeah, being more
a little bit.
open and also
Shaquille does not tell me any of his business. Like Shaquille will keep a little bit of well, not any. You tell me a lot of your business, but Shaquille likes to keep a little mystery to him.
I'm
Like
just a mysterious
you
person.
like you want to be mysterious. You can
Even this
tell
even this
me.
interview, I'm giving you so much.
Like Shaquille will tell me a story and like will like leave out the person's name, and the whole story I will be fixated on what
Semantics,
was the
like it's just
person's name, but he
details.
just wants to leave it out just to make me like.
No, it's things that don't matter. You get fixated on what you don't know instead of what you do know.
Yeah, true. It could be me. It could be you. I think it might be a mixture of the both. I think we can both take account
Oh,
about
whatever.
accountability.
I guess.
Yeah,
I
but
guess.
yeah, I love to see your growth. I love that you're here and you're in LA and you're just doing your things and thriving. Shaquille has a background in graphic design as well. So looking at the industry now and seeing like the progression of AI and all those things, as someone who does have a background in graphic design, how does that make you feel? Like, what do you feel about that stuff?
It's interesting to see. I'm fascinated, but at the same time,
Scared.
a little bit scared.
Yeah.
I think with AI specifically, there's so much there's so much work that goes into being a graphic designer,
Mm,
um, that people really don't see. And I think with that, AI is kind of taking a lot away from the skill that people have learned over the years,
mm,
especially for me, seeing that more so recently. I do think we're not at the point yet where you can completely omit a human being because there's
yeah.
so many things within the creative process that you just can't reduce to technology. Like
Yeah.
the AI videos will have like a 12 fingers and like it'll glitch and it's like I
Yeah.
don't know, but
Yeah.
it's just really interesting to see, and I'm trying to figure out ways that it can kind of enhance my work,
Mhm.
or and I know that's controversial, but where it can enhance my work and I can kind of work with it instead of working against it, because
Mhm.
knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And if that's the direction that the world is
You
going,
gotta get with
you
it.
gotta get with it.
Okay.
Word to ChatGPT.
Okay, word to ChatGPT. Speaking of, I feel like you're a newer member to the ChatGPT community.
Mhm.
How do you feel about ChatGPT? I love ChatGPT.
You talk to ChatGPT like she's your sister.
Yeah, I do. I
You
do.
you refer to
If
her.
we pulled up your ChatGPT history right now, would you be embarrassed?
I would not. Would
Oh,
you?
I would.
You would. ChatGPT
I
became your homegirl.
I
You
honestly
gave her pronouns.
yeah, she's
She,
a
her.
her.
She,
She
her.
is a her.
I'm like, why does she
She
have to be a woman? You're like, because a woman can't do, a man can't do.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I can't get in touch with you, I talk to her.
No comment. No
I'm
comment.
just saying. I'm just saying. Let's get into wellness because this is the cozy. Wait, what is it? A cozy. Getting back into fashion. So we both were in New York for a large deal of our like adult lives, and in the spirit of just Fashion Week and everything going on, what is your fondest New York Fashion Week memory?
So many to choose from.
I know what you're gonna say. Can we say it on three?
I don't know what you think. I'm gonna say one, two,
Two, three.
three.
Tom Ford.
I
Sorry.
was not gonna say Tom
Oh,
Ford,
okay. Sorry.
but since you brought it up, no, I just think that entire era of
Hmm.
just New York Fashion Week was such a great time,
Yeah.
especially with the brands that used to
Wait, what
show.
era? You have to get specific. They don't know what we're talking about.
Well, that was what between like 2016,
Tw-
2015, well, 2016
2016.
to like 2017, 2015, 2017,
Yeah.
that era.
Hmm.
That's when the big brands were being shown, and we kind of went from, well, I don't know about you, sneaking into shows and finessing a little bit
Not too
to
much on me.
to then getting invited.
Yeah.
Anybody who's familiar with me and my journey would know I was a big part of the New York Fashion Week culture back in the days.
Okay. Look them up. Look
Um,
at the.
that's when we had Pline showing, Tom Ford showing,
Yeah.
Ralph Simmons showing,
Yeah.
Jeremy Scott showing,
Alexander Wang even.
Alexander
Yeah.
Wang Fest.
Wang Fest?
I know he's canceled now, But Wang
Ish.
Fest was the best New
Yeah.
York Fashion Week party
Ever.
ever.
Yeah. I agree.
And for those who aren't familiar, Alexander Wang had an after party for his fashion show,
Mm-hmm.
and it was quite literally an entire like festival.
Festival. Before, because I feel like now that's common.
Yeah.
Now so many things are common. I feel like brands are in competition to just like throw the biggest thing. But back
Mhm.
then it was like more like reclusive and just
Mhm.
like you had to hear about it and you had to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick.
Quick.
It was so
And
good.
know somebody at that door with the
Right.
iPad.
Right. Like that was so good. So those are like my best memories
Mm-hmm.
through New York Fashion Week. We went to the Philip Klein show
Oh,
together
that
where it
was
was
fun.
literally snowing inside and there
Yeah.
were
And that was the same
robots.
venue that Rihanna had her Savage Fenty show at, where Slick Woods had her
Had
baby
her baby, which we also
after,
went to.
which we also went to
Yeah.
together.
Together. Yeah.
Together.
Yeah. But I do think, and not to sound like the cliche, but New York Fashion Week has changed a lot since
Yeah.
then. Like we kind of touched on earlier, it is more influencer focused
Mm-hmm.
and
No shade
more
to
so
us.
about more so about the
You didn't say
visibility.
it. You're supposed to say no shade to
No
us.
shade to us.
No shade to y'all or us.
No shade to who?
To me.
No shade. Oh, no shade. No shade to the influencers, but
Don't hate. Appreciate.
but yeah, it was so much more about the fashion and the experience and
Yeah.
leaving like a lasting impression on the culture
Yeah.
back then. Um, and times change when you're in a big city, you know, like one day you're in, one day you're out. There's a new crop of people that are like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, taking over the city and stuff. But you just couldn't beat those
You
days,
can't beat those
especially in New
days.
York.
But I wonder, I do wonder if the people who are living within these days feel the way about these days about how we feel during those days. You know? Like, is that just like I wonder.
Yeah, I kind of saw a TikTok recently of this guy who's
Yeah.
really on the scene right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he was at Paris Fashion Week, and he was kind of going on a rant. Him and his girlfriend are so cute. You
Mm-hmm.
may know who I'm talking about,
I
but
know who
they
you're
call
talking
him the
about.
new ASAP and Riri. Like,
Maybe not.
yeah, well, I'll show you.
Can you
But
say their names? Let's give them a shout out.
I don't recall the
Oh,
names. I'm
well,
sorry.
not them.
But he was kind of talking about how Paris Fashion Week is becoming more influencer focused
Mm-hmm.
and kind of the same sentiment I just had about New York Fashion Week,
Yeah.
although he's only been on the scene for maybe a year.
Mm.
So I think that may be in part just like kind of the motions people go through when they kind of see behind the curtain or
Yeah.
veil
Yeah.
of fashion or the fashion industry when you're not someone who's used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's part of it as well. But just the pre-peak of social media
Yeah.
era in
Yeah.
itself was just different. Like it was just different.
Yeah. I can kind of attest to that as well. I feel like kind of coming into the space is like when it was just forming. Number one, in general, it was just way more exciting because it just was new. But I can think about things and how they used to be and how they were more like community driven and like just culture driven. Whereas though now it's like you can literally not even, and no shade to anybody at all, but you can literally like, you can, not everybody is a Tory Burch girl, say for example. I am
Mhm.
personally, no shade to Tory, but I'm
Mhm.
personally probably not really a Tory Burch girl.
Mhm.
Why is somebody who's like more or less, way less of a Tory Burch girl than I am at Tory Burch sitting front row? Whereas though there might be a brand for that person,
Yeah.
and I just feel like right now everything is just like a mosh pit, and it's just like a
Mhm.
competition of like, let me grab whatever is like popular or whatever. And I just kind of miss the individuality of fashion a little bit more. And I feel like that was way more prevalent back in the day. Whereas though now it's just like, I want to look like I'm doing something, so let me
Mhm.
go to these shows. And it's kind of forced a little bit.
Mhm.
But in the same token, I do have an appreciation for some of the people that force it because they kind of can find their way within that force. And it's like, we've watched people that had where at first were forcing it and then like they became like who they wanted to be. So I think it's just like a very interesting like seesaw to watch. But I feel like that's why I just stay in my lane. I do what I want to do. And I find interest in what I want to find interest in. And I feel like that's why it's also just so important to like not compare yourself to anybody else or what they have going on or their journey, because it's like I have to look at things sometimes and be like, I don't even care. I don't even like that. I wouldn't want to be there just because someone that I feel or I felt I was similar to or
Mm-hmm.
whatever is in this space,
Yeah.
doesn't mean I should be there too, because that's not authentic to who I am. That person might be finding themselves, or maybe I'm finding myself. I feel like in this industry now as an influencer, it's just like you kind of for a well, for me, for a split second will have that moment of like, oh my God, I want to be everywhere. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'd rather go where I'm celebrated.
Yeah.
I'd rather like curate those relationships that are genuinely meaningful to me.
Yeah.
And I'd rather stay there. And I feel like I'm so happy that I was able to experience both ends. Because granted, I'm still going to get my checks and I'm
Right.
still going to show up to
Make
where I'm
this
being paid to
money.
be. And I'm still going to, whatever. But at the same time, I'm so excited that I was able to experience it when it was in a little bit more of an authentic space.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Yeah. And even touching on that, I feel like with my experience, it gave very much force, break the door down, let
Yeah.
me in. But once I got in, and we kind of touched on this recently too, just like over the phone. When I was talking about fashion, and
Mhm.
I don't know everything about every designer, but
Yeah.
I kind of over time through experience, you kind of resonate with certain brands or certain designers. You kind of learn more about the history. You find out
Yeah.
what you like, who you love, what you don't like.
Mhm.
Kind of the same for the industry. Once you're in, however you get in, whether you're an influencer, makeup artist, stylist, whatever your means or of entry is, once you get in, you kind of navigate that space and find out what you like, what you do like, which brands you love.
Yeah.
Maybe you might not want to go to this show next season. Maybe you do
Yeah.
want to, I'm not going to miss this show, or,
Yeah.
and through
So
that, you kind of develop that genuine love for it. Not everyone does. Some
no,
people
wait,
just
so
still want to be in the room.
speaking on that,
Yeah.
you still want to be in the room?
Just,
But speaking on that, so what advice would you give to someone who does want to be authentic and like does want to kind of have that taste of like the old school like New York Fashion Week that we're talking about, but is in this current 2025 space of like influencer culture? How would you suggest that somebody kind of stays true to themselves right now in this space that we are in?
yeah, well, I think if you are an influencer or anything of the sort, you kind of,
Content creator.
or content creator or a stylist, or anyone that's attending events and shows, especially on a larger scale, would have kind of have to ask yourself, would you purchase this product, like,
Mm,
without, like, if there wasn't an event, if it wasn't a gifting, if it wasn't any of those things attached to it, would this be a brand that you would
yeah,
be a consumer of?
true,
Like, do you actually like the clothes? Do
true.
you actually like the makeup? Do you actually like
It's like so, like people. I feel like people almost need to just. I feel like people look at things with their eyes closed. They be like, "Okay, Betsy Johnson's having a fashion show, and I want to go out tonight, so I'm gonna go." It's like you don't eat Betsy Johnson. Are you for real?
like
No shade to Betsy.
no
I need to
shit to
stop
Betsy,
saying names,
right?
but but it's like I feel like people just need to open their eyes and look at things. And it's okay to not like things. It's okay to say no. It's okay to like not be in certain spaces. But I feel
Mhm.
like touching back on how we used to be back in the day where it's like we might have snuck in or we might have did this, we might have did that. I feel like those extra barriers of entry kind of made it way more meaningful
Mhm.
because you had to want to be there that bad that it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I know I'm not on this list, but I like this person that much that I'm going to take the risk to get there and
Yeah.
not even take photos and not
Yeah.
even record it. I'm not making a TikTok or a reel.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I authentically want to be around these people. I don't care if 2 of my friends are there. I don't care if 10 of my friends
Mhm.
are there. And I feel like I definitely like, I think it comes from, like you said, keeping your eyes open and like
Mhm.
looking because
Yeah.
these days, I'm like, I'm okay. Like, I'm
Yeah.
okay. Like, are they feeding me? Are they paying me? Are they providing transportation? No.
And you know
I'd
what?
rather stay home.
Those experiences become the most memorable ones because
Yeah.
we've been to tons of events and
Yeah.
tons of shows,
Yeah.
half
Countless.
of which we probably can't remember because we weren't interested.
True.
But when when you connect to the brand and you connect to this event that or the experience, or you show up and it's an experience of a lifetime, like
Hmm.
Wang Fest, like that's something I'll never forget,
Never.
something we'll never forget.
Never.
And yeah, I know a lot of it is work. People still have to show up for work, but
Yeah.
if you're kind of speaking to what makes you passionate about something and
Hmm.
makes you enjoy or quote unquote deserving to be in the room, um,
Yeah.
you there has to be something else,
Yeah.
there.
I feel like I kind of have memories of just like uppity fashion people. And I would be like, okay. I don't want to be around. I don't necessarily. No, I don't like that brand anymore. I don't like that because it's
Yeah.
like, I feel like those barriers. Once again, it's like it made me kind of discern whether or not I wanted to be in those rooms because it's like you're not celebrating me. I don't even like this because there as an influencer there have been times where I might have been being paid or pushed to go to a certain place or to a certain thing and it's like, you're excited. I'm like, "Okay, why not? They're dressing me, they're doing this, they're doing that." And then you get there and then when you open your eyes, it's like, "Wait, I'm a very like empathetic person." So it's like if the energy isn't right,
Mhm.
like I'm starting to feel uncomfortable. I'm starting to feel like an imposter. I'm starting to feel like my people aren't here. I feel like I'm not really connecting with people. And I feel like
Yeah.
it might have been 2, maybe 3 years ago where that happened. And I went to a show and I just was like, I don't care how much these people are paying me. I don't think I would ever work with this brand again
Yeah.
because this is not my people. These are not my people.
Yeah.
I don't like these people. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, or if I were to work with them, it would have to be more so on my terms. I would have to express my discomfort. I would have to express that because I'm not about to just be here to say I'm somewhere
Yeah.
when I could literally be on my couch in my
Cozy.
PJs, cozy, in a cozy space. Speaking on wellness and everything, what does self-care look like for you as a Black man navigating in these creative spaces?
I try to prioritize touching grass, as you would say,
Yeah.
as you would say, touching grass. But no, literally getting outside. In the industry I work in, there's a lot of screen time. You're
Mhm.
on the computer a lot.
I'll be like,
Sometimes,
"Shaquille, go take a walk."
yeah, I can sometimes be on the computer for like ungodly amounts of times. And yeah, it's quite simply getting outside, getting fresh air, getting some sun, traveling.
Mhm.
Love a good travel, love a good
Yeah.
trip.
What's your favorite place that you've ever been? Sorry.
My favorite place that I've ever been, I would say, is Italy.
Aw,
Italy.
that's nice.
Yeah. Because it was a very special trip and also a beautiful place.
Yeah, you went with your
But definitely,
family. That was a
yeah.
vibe. I didn't go, unfortunately, but I tried to invite myself. He wouldn't let me come. But
Yes, traveling will always do it.
yeah.
And just making sure I pour into myself.
Mhm.
Whether it's a skincare routine, whether it's taking a walk, grabbing a matcha, which
Yeah.
you put me on to.
Yes, I did.
But yeah, all of that, just getting away, unplugging for a second, getting
Mhm.
away from social media and the blue light screens and
Just
everything, and just
breathing.
breathing, because it's a very.
I think we should breathe right now.
Let's do it.
Okay. You ready? Do you guys want to breathe with us?
How are
I
we
feel like
doing?
Dora.
How are we?
Say it with us.
Wait, how are we breathing?
In 5
Are
seconds,
we
out
doing
5 seconds.
ASMR
I
breath?
don't think that we should do it. How do you say it?
ASMR.
ASMR. Okay, no, but I think that we should take a 5-second deep breath together in 5 seconds. Are you ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was great.
Self-care.
Self-care. Okay. Do you feel like conversations regarding wellness and self-care and everything, like, do you feel like they're becoming more prevalent for men to talk about? Because I'm a girl, so I have no idea, but yeah.
Absolutely. I think
Mhm.
men are definitely, especially in recent years,
Mhm.
taking the time to come up with a 7 to 10 step
Yeah.
skincare routine,
Yeah.
making sure
No
their
more
beards
like
are clean,
washcloths with like the Dove soap
doing their
vibes.
nails. Don't look
Yeah.
at mine. But like doing their nails, manicure, pedicures, and just
Yeah.
really taking. And I think most women find it attractive, a clean man.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
you
Please.
gain about 2 to 3 points off the ugly scale if you if you
If you're
are
like
well kept
well
and just
kept.
like
Yeah, that's
put
really
together. Yeah,
important. That's
like
really
it's
important.
definitely one way you could go from a 7 to a 10 real quick.
Wow. That was
Yeah.
4 points. You know, 10.
Well.
Well, it's fine. Yeah. I feel that for sure. I feel that.
Yeah.
Um, as a man that is from St. Croix, from the islands, have you ever had to unlearn anything that you were taught about masculinity and self-care?
100%. 100%. There was a lot of unlearning and relearning
Yeah.
of a lot of things just growing up. I was always a bit artsy, always a little like open minded.
Mhm.
I also studied anthropology for a
Mhm.
few years, which is a study of humans and their cultures. So we learned a lot about how life is viewed in other places of the world, or
Mhm.
masculinity and femininity and gender and all these things,
Mhm.
that predates my existence and our
Yeah.
existence and what we know. So definitely getting being from a small island where everyone knows each other or knows your family can be very stressful
Hmm.
when you're trying to like
Get to know
figure yourself
yourself.
out, get to know yourself, no matter who you are. So I think getting away, I always just tell myself, like my senior year especially, turtles, turtles,
Where's this going?
turtles
Hmm.
grow to be the size of the tank that they're kept in.
Mm.
And I felt like being a big fish on a small island, I went from turtles to fish, but being
You're
a
getting
big fish
so
on a
deep.
small island is not as empowering as being dropped into a big city such as New York
Hmm.
and having to make a name for yourself or like
Yeah.
make your way. I remember, and kind of going off topic here, but I remember I was living in Atlanta for at least a year or so, and I like went to the mall
Hmm.
and I was recognized. It was like the first time somebody recognized me from Instagram, and I
Mm.
was
It's like that did something for you,
like
huh?
this is pretty
You're like, I
crazy.
am Beyonce.
I'm Beyonce. But no, just it's just crazy being in a city where there's tens of thousands of people
Yeah.
and having or being forced to network, being forced to like really work and introduce yourself time and time again, and
Yeah.
just
It
like,
kind of builds your confidence, I feel.
yeah, you figure
Yeah.
out what you like, what you don't like, and who you are as a person. And I just think being from an island, especially in having that solid foundation,
Hmm.
and then being exposed to so many different cultures, um, definitely helped me with learning and unlearning a lot of things, especially with masculinity, because Caribbean men could be a little just a little toxic, a
Yeah. Yeah.
little ignorant.
Yeah.
Not too much, but yeah,
Yeah.
it could,
But I feel
you
like
know.
with you have the perfect balance. I feel like I love the moments where your Caribbean side kind of comes out more. Like I'll hear you around your family and I'm like, ooh, like, okay, his voice went down like 2 notches.
2
His
octaves.
accent is coming out. Like it's like, wow. But I feel like there's something so beautiful about that upbringing. I feel like I touched on it before where I feel like the best good people come from judgmental families or like like I don't know, like
So
traditional.
toxic.
Is that toxic? Is
So
that toxic to
toxic.
say? I don't know, I just feel like it makes you kind of think more. It makes you kind of
Mhm.
like be a little bit more conscious. I mean, obviously I think that there should be a balance to be had, and I'm
Yeah.
happy that you were able to grow and like learn and form
Mhm.
your own opinions, but I feel like me knowing you and the core of who you are, I think that that background of having to think before you acted or think
Mhm.
before you speak or think before you do things because you know that there like may or may not be judgment or consequence
Mhm.
or whatever on the other end of that. I'm happy
Mhm.
that you have become empowered enough to still be yourself, and I
Mhm.
feel like that part is equally as important.
Yeah.
But I think to have the background and the boundaries of like a set standard, I think that that's fire.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I think it also helps me too with understanding others.
Yeah.
And I mean, we joke with judgment or whatever, but
Yeah,
I
that's
don't.
kind of a joke, guys. Don't take it
Yeah,
too seriously.
yeah, but just to be less judgmental and just more understanding of everyone, I think I'm somebody who can try to see both sides of almost every situation,
Yeah, because of your upbringing, you think.
because of how I was raised and I
Yeah.
know what I was
I
exposed
think
to
same,
and
yeah.
everything. So that's a big part of it as well. So it
Yeah.
helps me, become a very understanding person.
What's one wellness practice or habit that you feel has changed your life? Do you have a wellness practice or habit that you feel has changed your life?
Changed my life. I'm not too sure. I think, and I don't want this to be a cop out answer, but for me, my biggest form of meditation is music.
Mm.
And I've always been a music person. We would sing our hearts out in the car,
Yeah.
y'all. R&B down.
Yes.
R&B is the
Yes, we
supreme
will sing
genre.
at the top of our lungs driving
Sing to the
around.
top. And that just gets out literally so much tension and
Yeah.
is to me my best form or best outlet for self-care, and healthiest outlet as well, because you could listen to music. Like
Anytime,
you could find the
anywhere.
perfect song and you just in the
Yeah,
zone. It could be
that is true.
affirmative. You have your Jhené Aiko affirmation song.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, but
Should I sing it? I won't sing.
we don't have enough time. But
We
yeah,
have to go.
we have to go. But yeah, that's my favorite form of meditation. I think that has changed my life and helped me through a lot of situations. Whether you're
Mhm.
sad, angry, hurt,
Mhm.
music has just always been my go-to. Um, and also developing a skincare will get your skin together.
Yes. Mhm. So, speaking of skincare, I have a skincare body care line. It's called Skin Butter, as you obviously know. Um, do you use my stuff?
I do.
Why did you hesitate?
I did not
I
hesitate.
didn't like that.
I do use skin butter. I've used it for years.
Okay. What's your favorite scent?
My favorite scent is strawberry cocoa.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy because I actually have a gift for you. You
Mhm.
say you like strawberry? You say you like strawberry cocoa. I bought you
Aw,
a robe and strawberry cocoa butter. That's your
thank
fave. I knew
you.
that was your fave. I
I'm
wanted
so
to thank you
excited.
for coming on here and supporting me. Smell it. Does it smell good?
It smells so good.
So, to finish out this segment, what is something that just makes you feel so warm and cozy at home or wherever you may be that you just want to share with the listeners that they maybe can like duplicate at home for themselves?
My thing lately has been my mom actually came to visit me over the holidays here in
Mm-hmm.
LA. But she brought some lemongrass from her
Mm.
garden, some bay
Mm.
leaves, and some
Ooh.
soursop leaves. So if you
Wow.
know, you know. But my favorite thing has been to use that, make some tea with some fresh ginger, and just unwind, sip my tea. So if you can get some at your local farmers market, it's
Yeah.
not gonna be my mom's,
Yeah.
but it's a good way to relax, unwind, and break up any congestion. So you quite literally feel better,
I love
cozy.
that. So thank you so much for coming on a cozy space with Tatiana Elizabeth. I'm
Thank you
so
for having
happy.
me.
I'm so happy to have had you. Where can everyone find you? What are your socials?
You can find me on Instagram at Prince Lifted, TikTok at Prince Lifted, Twitter at Lifted Prince.
So creative.
Yeah, but you can find me everywhere at Prince Lifted,
Yeah.
primarily Instagram.
Love
Yeah.
that. You can find him in my stories sometimes. I like to post him. Other things. But thank you so much. I love you down, and I'm so happy that you came on here.
I love you too.
Mm, hearts. Okay, bye guys.